side note, I think it's so interesting how I chat GPT'd her, and what you're saying came out on ChatGPT. I'm just checking if ChatGPT is accurate.
Yeah.
Like you're working at Masunda, it's there. Like
Really?
I'm serious.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Ooh, AI is hectic.
I'll show you.
Yes.
I just think, can you give me a background of Dr. Wedu Somolekae?
And all of that
Speak out like
came.
that.
Whoa.
So amazing.
Yeah.
That means
From Botswana, we are founder of Medi Glow Aesthetics. That's Dr. Somolekae.
The first ever Botswana woman to be on the cover of Forbes magazine.
I felt like I sold myself short a little bit in the beginning. Obviously, your confidence in your craft builds as you go along, but I felt like I started very low because I was scared and my confidence wasn't so high.
Today in studio, we are joined by a growing pioneer in the entrepreneurial and the beauty aesthetics industry. Her name is Dr. Wedu Somolekae, the founder of Medi Glow Clinic. She is a Forbes 30 under 30 lister and a trailblazer in the global market. Join me as I have a conversation with her today on her journey. My name is Katlego Matilda Gotwaitse, and this is the Founders Series.
My name is Dr. Somolekae, as you've mentioned. I am a medical doctor who's now focused solely on aesthetic medicine. I was born and raised in Mogaborone, did most of my schooling here. I did tertiary at St. Joseph's College and then went on to the University of Botswana where I did my medical degree and then went on to do internship and start Medi Glow Aesthetics. I had always wanted to be a doctor. I don't think that choice was well informed. It's just when we're growing up, there's categories. It's either you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, business. There's big main categories. And then as you start to discover yourself, you narrow into what you actually want to do. But definitely going to medical school had more to do with the grades. I had really good grades and my parents are like, no, this one or this one. And so eventually, as I continued on this path, I discovered something that I love more than medicine, which is aesthetics. And that's what got me to where I am today. Yeah.
Speaking about your parents, I know you come from a family of powerhouses. How has that been like? How did that shape you into becoming who you are today?
It definitely played a big part. There's no room for laziness in my family. I'm surrounded by people who work very, very hard, and I think it's in me, but watching it in play all the time obviously then pushes you to do even more. So I'd say it played a very, very big part in who I am today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. So before you went into business, what were you doing?
Okay, so I finished my medical school and then went straight into internship at Princess Marina Hospital. After a year there, I was sent to Masunga Primary Hospital. It's in the northeast of the country. It's a small hospital, a very beautiful community. And I served there for about 2.5 years. And around that time, because of the boredom of living in the village, a friend of mine and I decided to visit Johannesburg just for a breather. And that was actually the first time I discovered aesthetics. Yes, so I actually had no idea what it was until that time. So my path at the time was looking at just working in medicine, medical officer, hopefully specialize in something. So that's where I was before I discovered what aesthetic medicine is.
So what hooked you to aesthetics then? What was it for you?
Everything. It just encompasses, first of all, I was a doctor already, and then it brought in the beauty aspect. So I'm a girly girl. I love nails, I love hair, I love makeup. I always have. Thank you. So finding something that merged the two, what I studied technically and then just what we're all as women quite passionate about, which is beauty. So it was just the sweet spot for me. I was like, this is me, like bringing in the brainy part, if I can say that, and then the beauty part and just saying, okay, this is where you need to be. Yeah, so that was it.
Medical aesthetics is a field that bridges healthcare and cosmetic enhancement. It involves non-surgical procedures that improve a person's appearance, safely and professionally. These treatments are designed to address concerns like fine lines, volume loss, skin texture, pigmentation, and more.
It was a couple of weeks or even months in thinking about the name. So even before starting the business or any of that, I had registered a company, and then I was thinking of like my clinic name. It was more of a daydreaming type of thing, but I had engaged a local graphic designer to create a logo for me. So he was like, so what's the name? So it took a couple of weeks before I got back to him, and I was just thinking about it, what's gonna really bring out what we do. We want people to glow, but it's medical based. So aesthetics is all medicine. So that's how I was like, bring the two together, and Medi Glow came about. Yeah. Okay, so we are an aesthetic clinic based in Gaborone. We offer non-surgical enhancements, cosmetic treatments, starting with skin. We start with an analysis and a consultation, helping you understand your skin type and the types of products you need to use on your skin, and then introducing different treatments that are going to help improve your skin. So we target issues like acne, hyperpigmentation, aging, and so on in terms of your skin. We also have anti-aging services. We offer Botox and dermal filler. We offer something called platelet-rich plasma or PRP treatments, which help with skin and hair as well. And then we also do vitamin IV drips that are great for energy boosting, for glow, for immune boosting as well. We offer laser hair removal, and we have medical grade skincare products. So products you won't find over the counter, but I find are quite a little bit more effective than what you would pick. And so basically we're just the beauty center that is medically backed, but not just for females, even just to help males feel more confident about themselves. You find you go to the store and there's so many options these days. If you're trying to even build a skincare routine, you have 50,000 things to choose from. And so we kind of help narrow it down for you and help you find something that's gonna work without you going through trial and error through many different products, and you know what I'm saying. And most people are so eager sometimes that they end up doing even harmful things to their skin just because everybody wants to look good, you know. And so it's always good to pick a place like Medi Glow where you'll get a professional guiding you in terms of what you should use for your skin and for you to see really great results.
In the aesthetics industry that you specifically wanted to fill?
Yes, so I think for us medical practitioners who are in aesthetics now, we feel like we're the pioneers of the industry in Botswana. Medi Glow is one of the first aesthetic clinics only. A lot of people who were doing it before have either a GP or a dental practice with some aesthetics, and nobody's just doing aesthetics only. So definitely, even when I started, there were clients who would come and say, finally, I've been crossing the border for the last how many years to go to South Africa to do this and that. I'm like, no, but I'm here now. So there are a lot of beauty services, but not many medical practitioners or doctors offering a higher grade of those kinds of services. So that's the gap that we fill as Medi Glow Aesthetics.
So what was the first step you took when you started your clinic? How did it go from it just being an idea to you now executing it?
So as I said, I was thinking about it when I was in Masunga, and that was actually a pivotal time in my life because I was kicking and screaming when I was sent to the village. I was like trying to find a way to stay, but it helped a lot in terms of the clarity of what I want to do. It helped me save money for training because Gaborone is expensive and everybody's calling every weekend, let's go somewhere, let's do this. So I would just have my quiet weekends there, and you know, it strengthened my resolve to say, I'm going to do this. It wasn't a clear, straight path. I came back to Gaborone ultimately after getting some training and eventually resigning from the job. And I started working for different doctors in Gaborone. And initially I had pitched to a few to say, listen, I did this training. I'm really interested in starting this. Perhaps I could just, you know, start in your clinic, offer it to some of your patients and see how that goes. But everybody I pitched it to wasn't quite getting the vision. It's like, it sounds expensive. What? So I wasn't getting the response that I wanted. And so eventually I realized if I want to do this, I need to just do it myself because I can't piggyback on other people's practices or like start easy. I just have to take the plunge and start on my own. And so I started in a single room in a clinic that was already existing, and bought a little bit of stock, and then did some procedures on some family members, and then it built from there. It wasn't instant, of course. I had my days where at the time the clinic had a receptionist, so they had offered me to use the person to do my bookings as well. He's my current assistant now still. And he would just say, it's going to be okay, doc, they'll come. I'd spend the whole day from 9 to like 4 with nobody showing up. And I'd just be there on Canva, like creating posters for Facebook, just trying to think of ideas of what to do. And those were tough times. But we pushed through, and here we are.
What kept you going on, even though you're not getting any clients and it seemed a little bit dry?
Definitely the passion for it. I love aesthetics, and at the time I saw the potential in what I was doing. I would think if they could just catch on to it and understand how powerful it can be to look your best and be so confident and have somewhere where you can go for all of that. So just the dream, the vision, the passion, the drive for it is what kept me going. I even got to a point where I was like, if it doesn't work out here, I'll move to South Africa. Like, it was do or die for me. It's like, I'm doing this. Even if it doesn't work out here, I know that it's a great industry in other places. So I would rather go there than anything. So it's really deep in my heart, I love it so much.
I think that's so beautiful. Yeah. So I gather that you were self-funded.
Mm-hmm.
You did not seek any external funding.
Up to now.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, in Masunga, there's not much to spend money on, even if you wanted to. So I was able to save up for training. And then when I left government, I did get a small severance package. I think at the time when I started, I had about 50,000 pula, which was what I used to buy some stock and a bit of equipment and things like that. And I did mention I had started locums, so I was working as a part-time doctor. That helped with some of my expenses. Also, my parents and my aunt were gracious enough to accommodate me at the time, so I didn't have to worry about rent and other expenses that most people would, which I was very blessed for. So I started with that amount, and I had to squeeze, and the lifestyle that I had in Masunga coming to Gaborone, it was easy to stay put, I had to just double down on lifestyle, no outings, no nothing, you just sit at home, Yeah.
I think that's enough advice for an entrepreneur at home waiting for a government grant.
Yeah, you use what you have. Yes. So you'll never have enough to start. There is an ideal amount that you feel like, well, if I had this, I could just do everything. But honestly, with whatever you have, you can do something, And you'll be surprised at how willing people are to help you if you are earnest in what you're trying to do, So funding, especially getting very, very large amounts of money, can be risky at first. You need calculated risk. And so if you can raise enough first, even just by asking family members and friends, and then talk about big amounts with big government organizations later, it can also, it works, because it worked for me, You don't need to be extravagant, you just need to start. You can't wait for millions to have your dream come to life.
Speaking of visibility and partnerships, this episode has been proudly powered by Decor Waves, Botswana's leading manufacturers in upholstery, curtains, and cushions. You can visit their physical store right here at Design Quarters in Setloa or Pakalani, or follow them on their social media pages for more.
So what's unique, or what's probably special about the approach, is that having a medical background, I look at a person holistically. It's not just about the specific issue you're bringing. There's a lot of things that influence how we look or why certain conditions appear, especially on the skin. Remember, it is the largest organ in the body, and it shows us what's going on inside. So you can have acne, for example, or dipimple as we call them, and it's not just acne. There's inflammation, there's hormonal influence, there's a lot of different things that are happening that lead up to that. I look at your age, And so that's what's different about having a doctor address issues like that, because someone would just say, oh, pimples this, you know, and not say, but what are you eating? Do you get enough sleep? How much water are you drinking? You know, are your menses regular for females? Or do you have a family history of this? You know, things like that. Even with hyperpigmentation, were you pregnant at some point and it appeared? Or is it just you spend a lot of time in the sun? The assessment is it goes so much deeper, and it's so much more holistic to say, let's take care of you. We're not just looking at the issue you've brought, but are you exercising? Like, how are you taking care of yourself? And it's such a beautiful approach in that way, and people appreciate it more to say, Kana me, I went there for this thing, but then we discovered I need to take a certain supplement, or I need to cut down on sugar, you know. There's so much more value in your consultation when someone is not just looking at, okay, you want to get rid of pimples. So I think that's what distinguishes us from a regular place where you would go and it would just be 5 minutes and you're done. Yeah, so that's a good question. It's something that I've had to learn how to do with time, because my enthusiasm is for the medicine, but you don't have a business if you're not taking care of the important things in terms of management and administration. So it's taken time to strike that balance, but I think what I like to do in my spare time is obviously make a note of everything that needs to be done once I'm back in the office. And when I start my day, I try to get that out of the way first. I'm not very good with time, as doctors notoriously are, but when I do come in early enough, then I try to do the admin, like whether it's making payments or orders and things like that. And as the business has grown, then I was able to delegate some of that work and offload it from my list of things to do. But it's not an easy thing to grasp, especially because I don't have a business background. So it's something you have to learn as you go along, because if you're delaying payments or you haven't done something, like you haven't ordered stock, and people, where's my cleanser, where's my moisturizer, and it's like, wait, I'm consulting. So you know, you have to learn how to eventually strike that balance. I think I'm still working on it even now.
So you're a self-taught entrepreneur?
Yes,
wow.
Pretty much. Yes.
Wow, I think that's just amazing. You know, you spoke about delegation. I want to talk a bit more about your team. Mm-hmm. How did you manage to build your team? I know, for instance, I think Thursdays are the busiest times for your clinic, isn't it?
As in time of the year or time in
Thursdays? For Thursday,
yes, we have Thursday. Yeah.
I know there's like a special going on Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah, so obviously it must be quite busy. You're here, and your assistant is here.
Yes.
And for sure you trust the people that are there.
100%.
Understand and get more into how you've managed to build your team to that level, and what qualities you look for in people to say, okay, this is the person I can work with. I can train this person to the level that I want them to be.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of my team, what I look for when hiring is somebody who's proactive and who's passionate about the brand and what we do. So I need them to understand exactly what we're trying to accomplish on a day-to-day. And I also like people who are customer focused. I love somebody who pays attention to clients. When somebody walks in the door, you smile, have a seat, I'll be with you. So those are some of the things I look for. And even if it's not there, someone who's willing to learn or who's teachable. And you can pick that up in somebody. So my team comprises of people who are like that. And also they've been with me from the beginning, so I think them watching the brand grow and becoming familiar with clients and being comfortable with what they do and confident in their skills helps us to run like a well-oiled machine. Actually, so I have a receptionist / assistant, then personal assistant, the one you've met today. She created that vacancy for herself. And I get tons of emails, and I read the first few lines of hers. She wrote me like a book. But no, the first few lines of it, I was like, you know, she's just describing the brand and how she thinks she can help and how she can be instrumental to the team. And I was like, yes, exactly. Yeah, so I think even like advice to people who are job hunting, don't be generic. Look and study the organization you're trying to work for and see what they're about, and then pitch from that point of view. Not just please hire me, for those who are not going into entrepreneurship. Yeah. Getting to understand them and relating with them as humans, and not to say I'm doctor and you're this, we talk, we laugh, we relate very, very nicely. It's a very healthy environment. I enjoy just knowing about them, not too much, you can't get too personal, but just on a day-to-day, trying to make sure they're okay as people, trying to find out what they're trying to do in life aside from the work of every day. Just showing interest in them, I think, helps for them to also feel seen and valued. And then also correcting when I have to and speaking on issues that need to be addressed. I try to be firm. I'm a very soft-spoken person. So if you see me like, then you know something is wrong. And so definitely try my best to strike that balance of saying, I am your boss. I do care about you. We have to work, So, yeah.
So what lessons have you learned about being a leader and not just the founder of Medi Glow?
I think leadership requires you to get out of your shell. I think leadership requires for you to act out what you want to see from other people, and to push through any kinds of social anxiety or any kinds of personal issues to show up for others, because if I spend 2 weeks away from work, where is she? Like, the motivation goes down, So it's no longer, when I was employed, if I decided today I want to knock off a bit early and I find my way, But now it's just like, if you do that, then everybody's going to start knocking off early, So just learning to lead by example. Obviously, I can't be there all the time, but I try my best to show up as much as I can. And yeah, I think those are some of the things I've learned.
That's great.
So I would start with a love for people in general. Going into medicine, for example, is not something you do if you don't have that, because you're serving people on a regular. And even before I went into aesthetics, being in the hospital all day and everybody's coming with different issues, different ailments, you have to have a love for people in order to work in such an industry. I think that's number one. And then resilience. So I spoke about times when people were not showing up. There have been other very major challenges in the business that are easy for you to say, let me just apply for a job and go work muspatela, because this is a lot. So having that resilience and that tenacity to say, no, it's fine, this isn't going to break me, I'm still going to keep going. Also, just passion. Like I mentioned, I'm a very passionate person and I love what I do, so that helps a lot. I think even with competition coming up, learning how to be motivated by that instead of feeling like, now everybody's doing it and so it means no more business for me or whatever. I find I get very motivated when I see like, somebody's coming up and doing this. What are they doing differently? Oh, interesting. Then I say, okay, now let's strategize. Let's do this, like I find it very motivating to, rise up to the challenge instead of shrinking and sitting in a corner and crying, So I think those are some of the qualities that help a lot in terms of moving forward in this industry. But also a spirit of collaboration, actually. If somebody wants to work with me, I'm very open to that. Obviously, it has to be mutually beneficial. But I've done different campaigns or collabs, if I can say that, with different companies that were benefiting both of us. So I'm also not like, Kiwani hela forever and we'll do this. But I'm like, let's all work together and see how we can all move forward together. Yeah.
Speaking of collaboration and competition, how have you seen the beauty industry and the aesthetics industry evolving over the years since you've started?
It's growing for sure. People are becoming more aware of what it is and the kinds of services we offer. There's a lot of people trying to get into the industry. And it speaks to the growth of it, but it also speaks to how it also needs to be regulated, to protect the public, because someone can say, oh, that's a great service and it looks like a lot of people want it, so I'm just going to offer it, without looking at the background you need to do something like that. And so it's growing very well, I think, and it just needs to be well regulated in order to protect people from, adverse outcomes. Yeah.
Beauty and wellness space excites you the most at the moment?
A lot excites me. Yeah. I think injectables, I had mentioned anti-aging treatments like Botox and filler. They have a very bad rep, not bad, but there's a lot of myths around them that I would love to really address at some point. There's a lot of myths around injectables like your Botox and your filler that people are like, oh, I don't want to look botched, I don't want to look weird and crazy. And honestly, that's not the case at all. If you look at me, I've done a bit of filler, I do Botox regularly, but I don't look abnormal. Aesthetics is very subtle enhancements. We enhance natural beauty, and so it's not going to make you look different, or but in a good way. I also just recently came back from a trip where I was speaking to 2 brands that we're going to introduce to the clinic. So in terms of chemical peels, which is a skin treatment, we have a little bit more powerful ones, but safe, that are going to bring really nice radiant skin to our clients. So that's also nice. So we can never ignore the psychological part when it comes to physical appearance. A lot of people seek aesthetic treatments from a surface level. Yes, I want to look good, but sometimes it is coming from within. I want to look good because somebody said this about me, like I want to look good because I just got a divorce. I want to look good because the past 6 months have been difficult for me and it's showing. It's important to be able to pick that up in somebody who's seeking aesthetic treatments, trying to understand, and this goes back to being holistic, trying to understand why exactly they're seeking that treatment. And in taking time to understand that, sometimes I end up referring to a psychologist instead of starting certain treatments. Sometimes a therapist, There's a lot going on in a person that makes them say, I don't think I look good. And if it's on the surface, then easy. But if it's a deeper thing, no matter what you do for them, they'll never be happy or satisfied. So it's important for me as a practitioner to take time to understand why my client sought a certain service and direct them in terms of what I think is best in that time. You'll never force me to do anything. I'm a very stern practitioner. So if I feel like no, then I will communicate and say, I'm the doctor, you are the patient. I'm saying this is not good for you, so we're not going in that direction. And as difficult as it is when thinking of the business aspect, because sometimes someone will want to pay for something very expensive, and I say, ish, oh well, we'll make that money next time. But if they're not suitable, because recently I've started doing weight loss treatments, semaglutide, also known as Ozempic, and we do blood tests before you start the medication. And if they're not normal or someone doesn't want to do them, then I won't prescribe that medication to you. That's just one example. But I just mean to say, even with injectables, your filler and so on, you can identify if a young person says they want Botox or they want filler, and you just see, but you're 24, why? So we explore that a little bit more. I'm not just gonna start injecting you because you want it. Like, but you look great. What's the problem? No, the boyfriend, and then this happened, and what. So then the girl came into our lives, and she's like this. So I also, ma. Then let's not do that. Let's talk about that a little bit more. You're beautiful. You're fine. Maybe what you need to address is how this person has made you think about yourself. That is incorrect. Let's go there. So yeah, I think as a medical practitioner, I can look at a person holistically, and that helps me, stray away from things that might make people regret later on. IV is like a supplement in liquid form. So it's just like if you buy a multivitamin from the pharmacy and you finish the bottle, nothing's gonna happen if you don't go back and take it, but the boost that you are getting from the vitamins is obviously not there anymore. So it's the same with IV drips. Most people, once they see the effect it has on them, they kind of know when they need one. And not to say ba pancha, but the glow drip especially, even for me personally, if I'm going to travel, if I have an event, if I just want that extra, I'll do a drip. But on a day-to-day, if I don't do it, it won't make a difference. I'll give another example. It's like doing your hair. You know, when you just came from freshly doing your hair, your face is like pulled back and nice and beautiful and tight. As the hair gets older, it's still you, but you can see that you don't look the same as you did. So whether you undo your hair or whether you go back and do it again, it's still you. So that's how the drips work. You don't have, it's not something you can become reliant on, and it's not something that changes you drastically if you haven't done it. And then, yeah, so even the medication part, semaglutide specifically, it suppresses your appetite. So when you stop taking it, your appetite goes back to normal. So it's about lifestyle change. When you're on it, you need to learn how to eat properly. Once your appetite comes back, whether or not you feel hungry, you won't go for the burger. You know, at that point you must know that we have salad and a chicken breast. We snack on nuts, we eat like this. That's how it works. But with that one specifically, your appetite does come back in full force. Even cravings will still be there.
So Forbes Africa has announced its 30 under 30 list of inventors that are leading a new era of change in Africa. Dubbed as Tomorrow's Titans, the list is filled with 30-year-olds or under 30-year-olds, naturally from the continent, doing amazing work in various industries, and that ranges from health, technology, fashion, and beauty as well. This year's class consists of young achievers who build solutions-orientated businesses from scratch. So let's bring in our guest, 3 change makers. From Botswana, we are founder of Medi Glow Aesthetics, that's Dr. Wedu Somolekae. From Nigeria is a co-founder of Ingresso for Good, that's Blessing Abeng. And from Lesotho is Koile Munaheng, who is the Associate Director of Gansa Energy. To all 3 of our guests, it's lovely to have you. Thank you so much indeed for making time to speak to us. And congratulations, of course, where are my manners? Congratulations in order for the recognition that you receive. And perhaps that's a good place to start, Dr. Wedu.
That was an overwhelmingly beautiful time. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. I was actually scared. Like, I obviously was hoping to, but when it actually happened, it was like, wow, me, you know? So it was just an overwhelmingly good experience. And it came at a time when I had really been pushing for a while. So sometimes you just need that thing to say, keep going, you're doing well. So that was the listing for me. It was just so encouraging and so validating as well to say, you know, you're not just good enough for Botswana, but on a continental Forbes Africa, they've looked and you are one of those people that they consider good enough to be on a list of 30 people. So it was just monumental for me. Yeah.
Top 30 pioneers in entrepreneurship in the whole of Africa.
Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. So what is the difference between being a lister and being a delegate to just attend the summit? How is the experience like?
It's completely different. First of all, fun fact, I had to pay to attend the summit. I wasn't a delegate, right?
Yeah.
So there's summits all over the world, right? Not just the one we had. And if you go online and want to attend one, you apply and you pay and then you go, right? And that's what you consider a delegate. So the one that we hosted, if you're an attendee, you're a delegate, right? But it doesn't put you on the list. You don't appear. So as a lister, there's a whole rigorous process that you go through. They don't just call you and say you're listing. You'll notice there's calls for applications every year for those who want to be listed. And you submit, you either nominate yourself or someone nominates you, and then you'll receive an email. And therein, they'll give you instructions on what to submit in order for them to assess to see whether you're good enough to be on that list. Amongst many other things, there's things like financials, there's things like, your credentials if you're in a certain category, your milestones in that business or in that industry. There's a lot that you have to submit, and there's stages. So if you make it through the first stage, there's like, thank you for that, now submit this stuff. And you submit and you write essays, you motivate for yourself to be on that list. And imagine everybody in Africa is sending from Nigeria and Tanzania to Kenya to South Africa. We're all just saying, put us on your list, you know. And that's why it's such a big deal to be on it, because then they narrow it down up until they get only 30 people. So you can imagine how many people apply year in and year out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so there's a huge difference between just saying, oh, I'm attending, to like, I submitted everything, I competed with everybody who was trying to be on that list, and they looked at my stuff and said, yes, wena. And not only that, I was on the cover as well, which is like 5 people. So they're like, it narrowed it even further down to say these ones can be on the cover. You know what I'm saying? So that's a huge, huge difference from just saying, oh, I got a tag and I was there. You understand? Yeah. So I think my listing came at a point where we were hosting, and that's where there was a lot of confusion, because now you see we're not hosting anymore and we don't have any more delegates, because nobody's going to apply and go attend in Ohio or in Europe. So that's essentially the difference. So in terms of my personal growth, like I said, it was a very validating experience to feel like you're good enough, especially because pushing through an industry where it's very new, Botswana, very few people are going to clap for you because they don't even understand what you're doing, you know. So at the time, that's why I said I felt like I was pushing against the wall, because it's not like people are not receptive or they just don't understand what I'm doing. And so I have to repeat myself over and over and over and over again for it to register. And I had been doing that for over a year. And so to have that recognition was just like, yes, Wedu, it's fine, just keep going, you know, don't give up. Also getting to meet the caliber of people that are on the list, you know, socializing with people from different countries and different industries who are doing well was also quite nice to say, okay, yeah, we're working hard, guys, you know. That was really, really nice. On a professional level, for those who did understand the listing, I think it was really great to just have the business be elevated by the listing. Media houses, you know, everybody who was just approaching me at the time of the listing helped to get the word out there that the listing has happened and exactly what it is I do. So it helped on a marketing perspective as well to say, now people will take note. You know, you're on BTV every once in a while. The newspapers are featuring you. You're on the radio, you know. You get contacts. Next time there's something, say, hey, can I be on the radio again? I'm doing this. So it just builds your network, especially in the media space. And marketing is very important if you're running a business. So that was really, really nice. Actually, becoming a mother is its own thing on its own. I was reading a book that speaks about how it should have a name, because we have puberty, we have menopause, but we don't talk about that transition. It actually does have a name. I just forgot it. And so everything changes, and you navigate that by yourself, or if you're lucky, you have somebody, you know, guiding you through it. But most parts of it, you know, it's a hectic time. And add the anxiety of running a business. I remember the first month of maternity leave, I was just so scared, like, am I going to make ends meet? Am I going to be able to have my overheads, because I'm not physically working. I'm just relying on the other stuff that happens in the clinic to be able to pay salaries and rent and all of that stuff. So it was hard, you know, but we made it through, and I was quite impressed, actually. I was just surprised that you know, we were able to make ends meet, and there was something for me as well. I'm like, wow, guys, well done. So it was a tough time, but it's much better now. She's getting a bit bigger, but it didn't kill my ambition. As soon as I was able to get back out there, I was back at work, and yeah, we're still running now. Yeah, I would say invest in your training. That's very important to create the confidence in the craft. but also brace yourself, because mo Botswana we're used to being funded. Tuition is free, UB, we did everything. And so you get to a point now where it's like nobody's gonna sponsor you to go and get this training. So you need to really develop that muscle of investing in yourself and seeing that it's worth it. Don't put a limit on it and say, no, I can only train this much because it's this much. Think about it and invest in yourself. And also passion is very important. Don't chase money. If you chase money, at some point you're going to give up along the way, because it's not always there, you know. So just be sure that it's what you want to do, be passionate about it, and go for it. Yeah.
So where do you see your business in the next 5 to 10 years? Any exciting plans or dreams that you're comfortable with sharing?
This is a dream.
Yeah.
I want Medi Glow to be in Southern Africa.
Yeah.
That's just my dream. In the near future, I would love to expand as well. That's what I'm trying to look into, just to get a bigger space, a better space to accommodate my clients and expand the service offerings that we have. And I would also love to have a few cosmetic products. So I'm looking into having a sunscreen at the moment. I'm very passionate about that because half of the clients I see are not using sunscreen. And I have to keep preaching that it's so important, even though we're dark-skinned. You know, a lot of people don't know that. So I would love for, when I tell you that, because actually here's one. I have my brand here. You can try this one and use it. So yeah, that's some of what we're working on.
Yeah, it's funny. My husband thinks I'm obsessed because I apply sunscreen every day.
You have
Even
to.
in winter, even when it's cloudy. And
Yes.
somebody was asking me, how is your skin so beautiful? I'm like, I use sunscreen, but I don't have a skincare routine. I'd be lying.
Okay.
In the
Hey.
morning, I just wash with pure soap and then moisturizer and then
Sunscreen.
And then I'm good to go.
No, but you need sunscreen. So, what the sun does is it has UVA and UVB, which is radiation that damages the skin. How it shows up on darker skin types like us is pigmentation and premature aging. And so your skin looks beautiful because you use sunscreen every day. And it's not a short-term thing where you notice it now, but in a few years you'll look better than your counterparts because you use sunscreen. Now, to demonstrate that there is damage is if all of us get darker. Like if there's an event and you're in the sun all day, the next day you will notice you're a little bit darker because the cells that produce pigment are trying to protect you. The radiation is coming, they're like, let's protect him or her. They produce pigment. So that's how the response is. But if you have a layer of sunscreen, then those cells are calm. And then you may still get a little bit darker, but the damage won't be there. So it helps you in the long run and in the short term as well. So it's so important. It's crucial. That's how people, some of it is just sun damage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is something you think you would have done differently back then?
Yes. So the first thing is I felt like I sold myself short a little bit in the beginning. Obviously, your confidence in your craft builds as you go along, but I felt like I started very low because I was scared and my confidence wasn't so high. So obviously, I'm a medical doctor. Anywhere you go, doctors charge a consultation fee because of the expertise behind what they're going to consult on and what they're going to recommend for you. I think I went a year where my consultation was free. I wasn't charging at all, just because I was like, just come guys, please, and then I'll show you what to use, you know. So I think that part for me, I look back on it like, no, you need to just, say, I'm a doctor, at least standard this much. And then the other thing would probably be what would have I done differently? Oh yes. As an entrepreneur who's passionate and you have a vision, sometimes it's hard to detach your personality from the business. It's very, very important to do that. So I love beautiful things. I like aesthetic spaces. My practice now, when I was starting, I was decorating it like it was my own house, you know? And you don't do that in a business, okay? So I remember I met Dr. Lou. We stock her brand. It's called Numa Skin. And then we were chatting about something random. And then I said, okay, then we'll go to Woolworths and get this. She's like, why would you go to Woolworths for that? This is not your house, my sister. Let's just go buy wholesale, you know? So sometimes you love it so much and you take it so personally, then you overspend on things that really shouldn't be like spent on. It's a business. You need things that function. It doesn't need to be overly fancy. So you get what I'm saying? I think one thing when I started, I was like, no, then we get fresh flowers and we do this. Obviously, it's nice to do that, but I was starting. So it just needed to be functional. And then you focus the working capital on things that actually generate money for the business. So I think I was caught up in that in the beginning at first, but now I'm a lot better at it. Yeah. So beauty is extremely subjective, right? And that's what I've come to discover as I've gone on in my career. Starting just from training, a lot of the training I've received comes from a perspective of treating Caucasian skin. Let me give an example like that, especially with your filler, your Botox. And our faces are shaped differently. So whereas the jaw can be a certain way, the cheeks are a certain way. So when I'm injecting filler, for example, if I'm approaching a darker skin type where our features are different, we have wider noses, we have fuller cheeks sometimes, as opposed to the more narrow faces. And so I won't treat a darker person the same way I would treat a Caucasian person, although the principles are very similar. So I tailor make your treatment to how you look and how you ultimately want to look. There are certain trends that I refuse to go with. Like, for example, when I started, I had a lot of requests for bleaching. And I've said no, and I will continue to say no, it's bad for your skin. There's certain things that I'm quite comfortable with, like your filler and your Botox and so on. And so in general, I don't mind going with how you want to look, but I do draw the line at certain places. And unfortunately, nobody's perfect. So if you're not happy that I won't go that far with you, then you'd have to go and get that treatment elsewhere. So I do encourage people to be very comfortable in their own skin, and where we can, within healthy and safe limits, we do enhance. Yeah. Okay, so the specific quotes that I do have playing in my mind sometimes. From my high school, the mantra was per aspera ad astra, St. Joseph's, which is through difficulties to the stars. And it goes with the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. So through difficulties, if you believe in the beauty of your dreams, you'll get to the stars. That's me putting those two together. I really, really believe, what's in your heart and what you dream about can definitely come to pass if you believe in it enough to soldier through the difficult times. Also, one my mom liked saying is proper planning prevents poor performance. Nothing is spontaneous if you want to do it really good. Obviously, we love spontaneous moments, but you need to plan. If you're going to do something, if you're going to run a business, it's not haphazard. You have to plan, and when you plan properly, it prevents poor performance. And finally, I will reiterate that just start. It will never be perfect. The conditions will never be perfect. If anything, it's more to do with your mental state and your belief in what you're doing than anything, because people have done a lot with way less than you have, and you're just sitting there with something. If you're Christian or religious, there's that story of the talents, and how people go and multiply, and then the one with the one is hiding it. Don't be that person, just start. If it's on your heart, if it's something you want to do, give it a shot. The worst that can happen is to fail. We fear failure, and then what? We move on, we keep going. So just try, So yeah, that's what I have to say.
The language of trailblazers is excellence. And the founder of Medi Glow Clinic, Dr. Wedu Somolekae, was simply oozing with it. It was quite an impactful session. To follow more conversations like these, do like and subscribe to our content on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. To engage more with us about our services, our course materials, as well as our upcoming events, follow us at project124.africa. This is Project 124 Africa, where we sprout ideas that ignite growth. Catch us on our next episode of the Founders Series.